Vampire Survivors was a game I first experienced on Xbox, and like many, it latched onto me with its simplistic controls and overall just addictive formula. Well, now we're getting the game on the Switch, and this is something I've been excited about ever since it was announced. You know, Vampire Survivors with that bonus portability is a match made in heaven, but can this version deliver? Let's find out. My name's Alex, this is SwitchCorner, and if you do enjoy the video, consider subscribing. Each and every one of you who does helps us out a huge amount. Now, I did then mention in the opening simplistic controls, and there's only one input during gameplay. You'll move your character with the left stick, and that is really it. The game controls the attacks for you. You simply position yourself and avoid connecting with a huge amount of on-screen enemies. Now, as you do this, enemies drop gems which you can pick up, and these will gradually level you up. A handy bar visually shows this across the top of the screen. Hit a newer level though and you get to choose from a new power-up, whether that's going to be a new attack, a defensive measure, or even some sort of passive ability. Some examples of my favourites: the garlic creates a protective shield around you. It can take out a large number of the early stage enemies. The whip is fantastic once fully powered up, and I also really like the magnet, which allows you to collect up gems from further away, which becomes really beneficial as the difficulty spikes. The real challenge though with this game comes with creating a build that is optimized to the level at hand. You see, you have a limited number of power-up slots, and this is also displayed in the upper left of the screen, but you need to be strategic here. You know, if you're working on a level, for example, that requires a lot of vertical movement, then why would you choose the whip as your primary attack type, as that works in a horizontal motion? Your best bet in these moments: the star, the axe, or my personal favourite, Song of Mana, which is an unlock alongside a new character that you can find in this world. These maps then I really like, and I just mentioned the character can be found in one to leverage, but overall it may be simple, but they're just huge, and they also pack a fair few secrets such as pickups, characters, and bonus items, such as one that collects all the gems that you are yet to pick up. My big suggestion, if I had one for Vampire Survivor, is get past level 1, and then in level 2 you can actually find a map which will unlock permanently for all stages, and it helps out a huge amount. Level unlocking here then, it's not the traditional beat it move on, rather it's tied to achievements, and each gives some sort of bonus from a new ability to a new character to a new level. Opening up stage 2 as an example, you must reach level 30 as a character on stage 1. Stage 3 is opened by reaching level 60 on stage 2, and kind of goes on from there. Now that really just kind of covers the gameplay, honestly. These stages can last up to 30 minutes. It's often a race against time really to get a build in place that will work well, and it's so easy to say, let's just have one more go. Now, if you're wondering about the post 30-minute mark, a vampire turns up and kills you instantly, but my understanding is it is possible to beat them. I just haven't managed it myself yet. Maybe one day, but I don't foresee it in the near future. So what else is there to gameplay? Well, it's really the characters now, and there's over 40 packed in, and you should play with them all as they are unique regarding starting weapons, and they also pack individual stats as well. Think movement speed, attack power, luck, and the list goes on. Luck, from my understanding, it impacts the treasure chests that you can find, or you even can earn them by beating overpowered enemies in the world that are outlined or highlighted in blue, and they can reward between 1 and 3 power-ups, so it's going to be more important than you may expect. Watch out as well for characters with curse stats, because these actually make your enemies more powerful and should only be used by those that have substantial hours sunk into this world. Unlocking new characters then comes in 2 steps. Typically you'll spend gold that you earn from runs on them to buy them, but first you will actually need to complete a specific achievement to make them available on the menu. The game has this great achievement list that details what you need to do and what you do get in return. It kind of gave me a goal at all times to be chasing. This gold then can also be spent on leveling up. Now, these stats, they increase all base levels and may even impact how much they get with each character. So for example, if you level up, it may say yes, your strength is already, start with improved. With each level, you will receive a 0.2 multiplier. These are going to be essential if you want to survive, and they impact all of the characters you have unlocked. So there's no worrying here about focusing on specific individuals. Should you want to try something new as well, you can refund all of your purchases with no penalty, and that is a feature I'm always a fan of. Concerns I had then going in, the main one was going to be performance, and I'm happy to say in single player it was mostly solid. Even when I hit the 30-minute mark, yes, I know, the visuals are basic, but there's a ton of calculations occurring in the background as waves of enemies explode, so I did have concerns, but it's running incredibly smoothly. I'd say there's some minor stuttering that I did note when you opened the chest and leveled up. Also, just occasionally I saw a very slight drop for a second or so, but nothing that impacted my experience. The same can then be said for co-op. I was able to briefly try 2-player, but it supports up to 4 locally, and here these issues felt, I'd say, very slightly worse as a heads up, but again, nothing that impacted the enjoyment. Vampire Survivors for gameplay, it's that perfect example of sometimes the simple things are the best, and yes, the controls are basic, the strategy and understanding builds though is incredibly rewarding, and overcoming these different levels and achievements, it's all incredibly rewarding and a whole lot more difficult than you may expect. It's this constant buzz of surviving and unlocking new items that is just so hard to resist. Regarding new content then, launching alongside the base game on the Switch is 2 new DLC packs. For the rest of the video, I am going to be showing now footage from these added on content. That's going to be Legacy of the Moonspell and Tides of the Foscari, which will retail for $1.99 USD or your regional equivalent. Both introduce a new stage, new characters, new monsters, and new weapons. I did get to try these briefly. I'm loving the new Moonspell map that's packed in. It's a snow-covered location, but the enemies in these new worlds feel particularly tough. It's not what I would call beginner-friendly content. Do know as well, my hands-on time is incredibly brief. I did not have early access, but grabbed them from the Japanese eShop as they did go live. When you pick up this DLC, all of the characters will first of all be locked behind some sort of achievement, so you're gonna have to actually work to get access to a lot of the content, but the maps are instantly available to play. With the base game then as well retailing for $4.99 USD or your regional equivalent, this seems more than fair as add-ons go, and it appears support for Vampire Survivors won't be slowing down anytime soon. As I said, for the rest of the video today, this is all DLC content footage using the 2 new maps. Visuals and audio then I'm bundling together. It's relatively simplistic for the most part, the graphical style, it's old school from the menus to the gameplay, but I really appreciate that Castlevania influence that runs through, the looks, and then the weapons when powered up, they pack some nice visual representation. It's hard to not be impressed as well at the 30-minute mark when you're being crushed from every single direction, and I will point out here, this is not smart AI, it's simply flying towards you as quickly as possible with minimal animation, but it is absolutely intimidating. The audio then, weapons sound good, menus sound old school, but the music is the real winner. I love the soundtrack packed in here. It's again old school with elements of chiptune and synths layered alongside almost an old school orchestral vibe, but it really knows how to get the adrenaline going. Vampire Survivors overall presents you with a very simple objective and gives you a single input to achieve it, alongside then strategic decisions, and combined, it's an absolute blast. It's not going to be for everyone, do be aware of that. It's the same thing over and over, experimenting with characters and builds, but for those that understand the appeal, this in my opinion is a must-add to the library. We've seen a ton of Vampire Survivor clones on the Switch, so it's great to see the original making its appearance. Now, I'm one of those people who loves the concept of this game, and today it's an amazing 9 out of 10 from me. I just can't wait now to dive further and further into this new DLC. So will you be checking out Vampire Survivors? Let me know in the comments with that. Hit subscribe, join us here for reviews, deals, news and lists daily, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.